Alright, let's turn on the cameras. Enough procrastinating. I have been putting this off all night. As you guys are watching this, probably, I am camping. So I just kind of wanted to do a chill, quick, just catch up, just kind of a weekly catch up, one of our Just Chillin episodes. Probably won't be a super long one. I'm gonna aim for like 15 minutes because I do, or I will have to edit this as well. But really, right now I'm supposed to be packing because I'm recording this Thursday night, and I'm leaving for camping pretty much right after work on Friday. So yeah, I figured I'd just turn on the camera for a little bit, hang out with you guys. I got some bullet points right here that I'll kind of go through, just some stuff that I've been up to this week. And yeah, so that's pretty much what we're doing for our weekend episode. Sorry, it's not some like highly edited episode like I usually do. But things have just been super busy lately, so I'm just hanging out, and I hope that hope you guys like these videos because I like doing them from time to time where I just really don't have to worry about a whole lot, don't have to set up the green screen and do a bunch of that kind of editing. I can just hang out and chat with you guys. Matter of fact, I'm on such a time constraint, I'm not even sure if this video will have music in it like I usually do. Maybe I'll just drag and drop a couple of the usual background songs into here, but sorry if I don't, because like I said, I'm kind of, on the wire here. So I did want to talk real quick about the content lately. I know that it's been a little spotty, and it hasn't been always on the usual days that we've been putting them out in the past. I'm trying to stay true to the like Monday, Tuesday ish release schedule for the big podcast episodes, and then I've kind of made it like Saturday slash Sunday for the weekend episodes. Usually, the past couple weeks it's been Sunday, I think. But yeah, sorry about that. If you're someone that likes to know like I'm getting this content on this day, I'm like that with certain channels, and so I definitely understand it. Life has been a little more busy lately than usual. Most of you guys know that I moved from Seattle to where I am now about a year ago. And for that year, I was kind of just working, and then I'd get home and I would just edit. And during that time, there was a lot of really consistent content. There was a lot of pretty good content, I feel like, with a lot of good topical discussions and stuff like that. But the past month and a half or so, maybe it's been longer. You guys could probably tell me better than anything I'd remember. But yeah, the past month or month and a half, I've been doing a lot more social stuff. I, have kind of found a new group of friends out here, and we're starting to get closer and hang out a lot more. And I think I'm at a point where I kind of need that. For a while, I was fine just doing my own thing. I'm a weird mix of an extrovert and an introvert. I can go months without seeing another person and just go to work and come home and play video games, edit podcasts, edit videos. Sorry, I should probably shut my window. I know that's probably gonna get loud. 1 second. But yeah, I can do that for months at a time. And then it gets to a point where I'm like, okay, I need some social interaction. I need to see people in real life. I love talking to the guests we have on the show. I love talking to Gabe every week and you guys in the comments and on Twitter and whatnot. But it gets to a point where I'm like, okay, I need some serious social interaction because, as you guys may have noticed, I love to talk. I do it a lot, and I can talk about pretty much anything for pretty much any length of time. So it gets to a point where I just really need that. And the past month and a half, it's been a lot of social stuff, a lot of vacation stuff. Like I went to the Blink 182 concert. That was a ton of fun. I put a poll up on YouTube asking if anybody wanted a video of me kind of talking about the Blink reunion tour, and pretty much everybody said no, which is totally fair. I understand, like, you're not here for that kind of content. Totally get it. That's totally fine. Maybe it's something that if Chris and I really want to talk about it, we'll do it on the second channel. But yeah, so there was that kind of vacation, and then just a few other like big friend events, people hanging out and doing stuff, and going to some other live shows. One of my friends, or a couple of my friends actually, are in a band, and so I've been going to some of their shows and hanging out with them and whatnot. So it's been a lot of stuff like that. And then 4th of July was great. I loved 4th of July here in Seattle. We didn't really do a whole lot for 4th of July. There was like fireworks in downtown Seattle, I think, but most people just watched it on TV. Because I don't think that a lot of the cities in Washington really allow fireworks for the most part. So yeah, it's kind of not as big of a deal over there, but over here everybody celebrates it, and it's like a big holiday. Like I had like a 5-day weekend this last week because like Friday through Wednesday basically I was just off work because everybody was out of town, and just people taking off all that time for 4th of July because it's so big. But I got to see a really cool fireworks show like right in front of me. It was this big event. It was really cool. So I hope you guys had a great 4th of July, by the way. All my American friends who watched the show, hope you guys had a good time. But anyway, so what I was getting at, was that's kind of why the content has been weird, is because there's been some days where I'm like, you know what, I just need a night to go hang out with friends, or to, you know, go on vacation and see Blink or whatever. So sorry if the content's been a little spotty. Hopefully it'll get better, but I don't know. It's summertime. Everybody's hanging out and doing stuff, and there's lots of little events and whatnot throughout the summer. So maybe the summer will just be, you know, kind of weird content wise, and it'll be smaller stuff like this. And then as we get into the winter, where people aren't really doing as much, people aren't really going out as much and whatnot, maybe content will get back to normal. But I do have some awesome videos planned. I think next week I'm gonna do a like my hot takes for fantasy and sci-fi and just that whole kind of community. And I think people are gonna like that, because I don't know, that's just a really clickable video. Anytime I've put like hot takes in the title, it's done pretty well relative to our other stuff. So hopefully you guys like that. I also have a video planned coming up, hopefully pretty soon. I need to start doing the research for it and writing the notes for it. But I want to talk about, is fantasy still nerdy? And if you guys want to comment on this down in the comments below here on YouTube, that would be great. If you think that fantasy is still nerdy, or if it's gone a little more mainstream. I mean, obviously it's more mainstream than it ever has been with things like Game of Thrones, and, you know, for as much as we crap on it, like even Rings of Power, like that was a pretty I don't know if popular show is the right word, but it got in front of a lot of people. So did Wheel of Time. So yeah, that'll be interesting to explore, because I think that depending on the friend group that you have, like I'm always nervous when I tell people that I do a podcast. They're like, "Oh, what's your podcast about?" It's like, well, we talk about fantasy books and sci-fi books and get into some some nerdy stuff, and we talk about video games and whatnot. And it's always interesting to see people's reactions. Either it's, oh, there was this one book that I really liked, or they're just like, oh, that's cool. And you just kind of get that blank stare a little bit. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to explore, and I'm probably gonna ask a few of my friends who aren't into fantasy what they think from the outside looking in, if they think fantasy has gotten more mainstream. And I'm gonna include like Marvel in that, like all the superhero movies. Like those comics were really nerdy at one point, and now everybody goes and sees the newest Marvel movie. So yeah, that's coming up sometime this summer, probably in the next couple months, or hopefully in the next month. I would hope, but yeah, it's something that I keep pushing off. So we'll get there eventually, though. But anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with me. We're gonna go through some of the things that I have been doing this week. And before we do, subscribe and like. That always helps out the channel a lot. We also have a Patreon page, which will be linked down below in the description, that you can check out. And I'm already at 12 minutes, so obviously I may not even go through all these bullet points. I might have to go through them really fast so I don't have a million hours of editing to do tonight. But we're going to talk about Harry Potter. I read Harry Potter for the first time, and that is a sentence, right? Like, yeah, people are shocked that I have not read Harry Potter before. And I think that I never read it before because growing up, there was kind of a mixture of, my mom was kind of like, that's the devil's book. And I probably could have pushed the issue if I really wanted to, and I probably could have read Harry Potter or found a way to read it if I really wanted to. But I also just wasn't super interested in it. There were other things like Pokemon my mom was really against, and that was something that I was actually upset about when I was a kid, because I had already watched most of the first season or whatever. And I was like, wait, no, I love this. Like, oh my god. So that was kind of a bummer. And so Pokemon is also kind of something that I never got super into, just because I kind of couldn't as a kid. I just wasn't allowed, and I was too young to kind of make my own decisions on that. But I did get really into Digimon. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. Harry Potter. So it was just never something that really interested me. And by the time that I was, around the age where like the movies were coming out and stuff like that, I was playing games like Morrowind and even like World of Warcraft and stuff like that. And so I was like, what is this like kids magic thing? Like, I'm playing like in-depth RPGs that have really cool magic and really cool worlds and stuff. And so I was kind of immediately into that more high fantasy, epic fantasy kind of thing. And so Harry Potter just never really interested me in any way, really. And I think another part of that was as well, that you around the time that the movies were coming out, you would go to Barnes and Noble, and there would just be Harry Potter shit everywhere. Like, there was the Harry Potter like scarves and all that stuff just plastered all over the place. You go to the store, and in the birthday aisle, there's like Harry Potter paper plates and birthday cakes and stuff like that. And so, to me, I think I was just kind of like, it's just too popular. Like, it's not like niche enough for me. And I know that sounds really snooty and whatnot, but I definitely was that kind of teenager where I'm like, I like the indie stuff. And so I think that Harry Potter, I don't know, at that time, it just wasn't my thing. However, what I was reading around that time was a series of unfortunate events, and I know I've talked about it a million times on the podcast. I'm not going to go on a tangent about it or anything. But now that I'm reading Harry Potter, I literally just finished the first book today, and I started the second book, and I'm like, I would have loved this. I would have absolutely eaten this up, and I would have been so deep into the Harry Potter fandom, just knowing who I was back then. If I had really like understood what Harry Potter was, I think that I would have been absolutely gaga over it. And in a way, I'm kind of glad that I wasn't, because man, I would have been even more of a dweeb than I already was in junior high. Like, I would have been talking about it all the time to all the people that did not care about it, and I would have just been even weirder than I already was. But now that I'm reading it, let me tell you, I love it. I am so excited to be reading this series for the first time, and I just, every single chapter, I was completely enthralled. And I know that sounds weird, and Chris, one of my other co-hosts, was saying, he's like, yeah, I loved those books, but he's like, I'm surprised that you're enjoying it so much. It's kind of a children's book. And I'm like, is it? Like, I mean, it is. Okay, so it is a children's book. A child can read it and they would completely understand it. It's definitely aimed towards a younger audience. Your main protagonist is a child, at least in the first book. And so, yeah, I guess you could call it a children's book, but it's like those rare YA novels like Scythe that kind of transcend that. And as an adult, you can read it and get probably just as much enjoyment out of it as you would when you were a kid. And I don't know. I think that there's a lot of like just really good themes and a lot of kind of darker moments, like just Harry and the way that he grew up and his parents dying, and the whole kind of mystery around that is so intriguing. And I've seen the movies, so I kind of know what happens, but a lot of it I can't quite remember. Like, I couldn't remember why Snape didn't like Harry, and what I thought I had remembered from the movies, and I think I'm correct as far as what happens in the later books / later movies, is I think that I knew that Snape wasn't a bad guy and that he was actually a good guy, but I can't remember exactly how all of that works out. So going through the books, I'm like, a lot of this is somewhat new to me. It's like a fresh take on, what I saw in the movies. So I'm just enjoying the hell out of it. It is so just 100% magical. Like the first book is the definition of magical and captivating and immersive. I loved that first book so much, and I'm sure that I'll love the second book and love the rest of them, because obviously it's a well-loved series. And that's the thing. Before, I was like, why do so many people, like, what is it about Harry Potter that so many people are into? Now I get it. I totally understand why this series captivated an entire generation, 2 generations of, kids and teens and adults. And I totally understand why it's captured the hearts of millions and millions of people, because I'm really loving it. So I think that next week I'm having John Douglas and Mike from Mike's Book Reviews on to talk about it, because I posted a thing on Twitter like, oh, I'm reading this for the first time, and they were like, what? And they're like, dude, you should let us talk to you about it. So yeah, I'm excited to talk to them about it and share my first time reader views on it. Hopefully by then I'll be at like book 3 or 4, hopefully. So that'll be really fun. I'm really excited to chat with them about it. Along the same vein, I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy on my new PC that I built, that I'm actually filming this from right now. And yeah, that's kind of the thing that made me jump into the Harry Potter books, is I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy, and I'm feeling nostalgia during that game for a series that I never read, for movies that I saw one time. I think there's just something so iconic about that world that you feel nostalgic for it, even if you never like read any of that stuff, or even if you like never watched the movies. It's so ingrained in pop culture and it's so just prevalent all over the place that yeah, making my way through that video game, I am totally hooked on that video game. At first I was like, this is kind of slow, and the RPG elements are really light. Like, they are super super light. It is not a game where you're gonna be like min-maxing and, you know, making like really important decisions and stuff. For the most part, for me, it's just a story with a lot of cool like action RPG elements with magic, and that's a lot of fun. I am super addicted to it, and the world that it's set in, obviously you're at Hogwarts, and it feels like you're there. Like, obviously you are in the video game, but it is so immersive and it feels so nostalgic. Like, anyone who loved these books would love that video game. Like, I even making my way through the first book, I'm like, oh, that's that thing that I saw in the video game, that's that thing, and starting to make connections. And so I think that'll be really cool as I make my way through the next books. I'm sure as I go through the video game, there will be a ton of Easter eggs and stuff. And now I'm realizing, after just reading the first book, that the people that made the game, like, they know their stuff about this world. Like, the people that made that game, that's like a labor of love for sure. So that's really cool. I'm just enjoying the hell out of both those things. What other games am I playing on the PC? I'm playing Rage 2 a little bit. It's like a AAA first-person shooter game from maybe like 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, something like that. It's really cool. It's from Bethesda, the people that made like Skyrim and Fallout. And it's not a whole lot like those games, but you see some of those elements in the game while you're going through it. It's beautiful. Like, graphically, it is gorgeous. And I thought that it was going to be really taxing on this PC, but let me tell you, this was a almost $2,500 PC. And there was a part of me, and I built it myself. I built it with a friend, but it didn't come pre-assembled. And so there was a part of me that was like, oh, like, what if it doesn't work? Or what if I put all this money into it and it can't keep up with some of the newest games or whatever? This PC has had absolutely no trouble playing anything. I could play anything on this PC and it would be fine. So far, every single game, the temperature in the PC hasn't gotten above 60. Matter of fact, I think it hasn't even gotten above 55. Because it's got like a great cooling unit in it, and like 70, in the 70 to 75 range is usually normal for a PC running a graphically impressive game. So mine is an absolute tank. And there's a thing called like GPU load, and that's like how much work, from what I understand, I'm not like a computer guy, but from what I understand, that's how much work your system is having to put in to play a certain game. And so I was playing Rage 2 the other day, and the temperature was at 42. This is like a very graphically impressive game. The temperature is at 42, and the load on it was 10%. And for people that like don't know a lot about computers, that probably doesn't mean anything to you, but that is like nothing. That is like less than nothing. Just booting up my computer, it's already at 5%. So playing a very impressive game graphics wise, it's just adding like 5% more to the workload. So anyway, I know that's a whole lot of just super nerd shit, but I thought that was cool. I'm really enjoying this PC. I've been trying out a bunch of games. I tried out Lies of P, which is kind of the new Bloodborne type game. It's like the spiritual successor to Bloodborne. Played the demo for that. That was a ton of fun. I really liked that. That's also a very, very beautiful game. There was another one that I was playing. Accidentally closed down the camera there. Screwed everything up. The other one that I was playing was Atomic Heart, and that is kind of like a BioShock spiritual successor, and that's been a lot of fun as well. So yeah, having a great time with this PC. It's all been an absolute blast. Last thing I want to talk about is I had a legitimate anxiety attack today, and I'm not saying that like metaphorically, like I actually had an anxiety attack today. And maybe this is a weird way to, this is my last bullet point, so maybe this is a weird way to kind of end the video, but the Y-Files is a YouTube channel that I watch a lot. It's probably my favorite YouTube channel right now, and you guys might have heard me talk about him before. Basically, it's run by this guy AJ, and he talks about a lot of just kind of like unusual, what's the word, kind of like unsolved mysteries and just weird stuff that happens. Like he'll talk about like aliens or you know, just different, like, I don't want to say conspiracy theories because they're really not. They're more just like really interesting topics, and a lot of the stuff he debunks. There was like a time travel story a while back that I really liked, and then the whole time I was like, whoa, no way, because some of the evidence is so convincing for some of these popular theories or popular like unsolved mysteries. And then in the last like 3 minutes of the episode, he just debunked the whole thing. So he's kind of like an open-minded skeptic a little bit, and I really love the channel because he debunks so many of the things, like so many alien things, like Sasquatch or Bigfoot and all that stuff. He debunks all of that, but there's the occasional topic, the occasional episode that he can't debunk, and those are always the really interesting ones, and that's why you watch the episodes every single week to see if, you know, he can debunk this one. So he uploaded one today that was about the rise of AI, and I thought that he was just going to talk about AI in the way that, you know, it's kind of problematic for artists and it takes away from, you know, other people's work and stuff like that. But he went into more of the like Terminator route and how AI could actually take over the world, and what he talks about some of the things that are happening with AI right now that aren't being talked about on mainstream platforms. And it is scary. I did not realize how scary it is. And I'm not one to get like freaked out about stuff. I'm usually kind of like, whatever happens is gonna happen, and I'm usually not super concerned about it. But this episode scared the shit out of me. And there was industry professionals that were coming out and basically saying, we need to shut this down like a year ago. Like, we need to stop this now, because some of the AI stuff is getting really, really weird. The chat GPT is really advanced. And I think what people don't realize is, I think a lot of people think that technology is kind of this kind of chill cruise down the river of progression as far as technology advancement, and it's not like that at all. It's more of a snowball effect where you start with this little thing and that compounds in every direction, and by the time it does one rotation, you got like twice the size of the snowball. And so AI, we just started hearing about AI seriously like a year ago, a year and a half ago, and it's already maybe a little bit longer than that, but it didn't get into the mainstream until fairly recently. And ChatGPT has already gone through 4 different iterations, and the 5th one is coming soon, like very soon. And so it's just wild to hear about some of this stuff that's going on with AI that we don't really hear a lot about. And I would highly recommend that everybody go check that episode out. I'll link it in the description if I remember. But I would also recommend, after every episode, he does a live stream. And so they both have the same title, except one is just the title, and then the other one says that title plus live stream or Q&A or whatever it says. So I highly recommend watching the episode and then watching like the first, I think it's like, I don't know, the first like 45 minutes of the live stream where he talks about the episode, and he goes in even deeper and proves his points even more that he was trying to make in the episode. It is terrifying. It's terrifying, but I think that everybody should watch it. I really do. I really think that everybody should know what's going on with AI. And that's not to be like weird, like, I don't know, like fear mongering or anything like that. I think that people just need to be aware of what's going on. But watching that episode, it literally, like, I had to pause it several times because it was giving me serious anxiety. And I'm not an anxious person. Like, I don't deal with anxiety hardly at all. I don't go through major episodes of anxiety or depression or anything like that. And so for it to have that effect on me, I was like, wow. So yeah, definitely go check that out. Again, Y-Files is one of my probably my favorite YouTube channel. Those episodes are just so interesting, and there's a lot of other more lighthearted ones, and I highly recommend checking out those as well, because it's a great channel, and AJ is a fantastic dude who loves his community, and he loves just talking about weird, fun stuff, and just weird, fun theories. And I would say this is by far his most serious episode. So if you want something a little bit more lighthearted than the end of the world via Terminators, then definitely go check out his other episodes on his channel. But with that, I gotta get out of here. I've been going way too long. I said I was gonna go like 15 minutes, and now we're at, I don't know, I had to restart the camera. I think we're at like 35 minutes or something. So yeah, anyways, I hope that you guys have a fantastic weekend. I know that I'm gonna be having a lot of fun camping and doing stuff that I don't normally do, kind of getting out of my comfort zone, doing that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a good weekend. You guys like, subscribe, all that stuff. That helps us out more than probably anyone thinks it actually does. It really does help out the channel a lot. Our Patreon, again, is linked down in the description. We have exclusive content over there. Stuff where it's just one episode right now, but all the co-hosts got together and we just kind of did an off-topic thing like this and just talked about whatever, just a bunch of different topics. So go check that out. There's even a sample on our YouTube channel if you want to get a taste for what that kind of content is. But overall, Patreon just helps us pay the bills. It helps us pay for like Adobe Premiere and all that stuff. So I'd really appreciate it if we got some more people over there. And thank you to all the people that have subscribed as a patron. You guys are absolutely legends. You guys are awesome. So with that, I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta edit this and then start packing, and it's gonna be a late night. I'm so busy. It's been such a long day. Okay. All right. Have a good weekend, guys. Thanks for watching. And a big shout out to our first Night Angel tier patron, Shad Zaman. Thank you so much, man.